And a left turn Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left face, you're following a Cessna down low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, 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 go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final. You're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold. Take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final. Runway 9 clear to land.
Okay, all right. Let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Oh, we have one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger. Let's see. What we got? A tricycle. Tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tail dragger. Down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here. You clear to land on 9 all the way to the white dot. Go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Canard, just come to the runway, and I might have to just send you around. That'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern, or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, let's see, over the numbers. Go down to the green. And Canard's going to have to go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway. Keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. You do not descend. Do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. You can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the down ones. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. Clear to land on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the flagman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow out follow on the final. And as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to resequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the downwind? The Canard?
Yeah, Canard.
All right, Canard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here. So just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Canard's got the jet in sight.
Okay, the RV, maybe an RV-10, whatever, here on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around.
Yeah, I can follow.
Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that. After 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. Keep it airborne. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there. Go ahead and put it down on the numbers. Put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep it.
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Four, three, two, one.
Hello.
Hello.
I was kind of, I was watching the trader and I lost track of all time there.
All of a sudden, I was like, oh, yeah.
He was mesmerised.
I know. I was thinking, oh dear. Hello and welcome everybody. Thank you very much for joining us on this Thursday evening, and a special thank you to Sky Demon for sponsoring the live stream. Without them, it wouldn't be possible, and we are very, very grateful that they do so. And we are happy to bring you this week's Sky Demon tip, which you'll be pleased to hear is all about getting rid of bloody NOTAMs. So here you go.
Hi, I'm Rob from Sky Demon, and here's today's top tip. As you look through your NOTAM briefing, you may find yourself rereading a NOTAM that you have seen many times before, or encounter an absurd NOTAM which bears no relevance to your flight. Here's one warning us about overflying Belarus. So let's hide it by tapping the X in the top right corner. Here's another one for Ethiopia. Let's hide that too. However, you'll notice that some NOTAMs we consider to be safety critical, and so they are not hideable. Of course, if you're ever concerned that you have hidden a NOTAM accidentally, you can see the list of hidden NOTAMs here, and tap the little back arrows to send them back into your main NOTAM list. For more information about Sky Demon, you can find our documentation on our website and within the app under the Help menu.
There you go.
I think Rob is really getting into his Sky Demon top tips, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah. Absurd NOTAMs. Get rid of them. That's what I say. Don't publish them.
Does it actually get rid of the actual NOTAM? It's like, I've deleted that NOTAM, and somewhere in the world they've just got, our NOTAM's gone.
Yeah. Unfortunately not, but there you go. There you go. So what have we got coming up tonight? Well, we got a whole bunch of news as usual, including well, wait and see what it's including. Plus, we got a bit of an interesting quiz, which hopefully, if Johnny's done it right, you can play along with. So that's coming up soon. And we got all sorts of other bits and pieces. What we haven't got is Simon Keeling live. So we got a recording from Simon because he's been out doing whatever. And a spoiler here, it's going to be windy. So here you go with Simon's weather.
Hi everyone, sorry I can't be with you live tonight, but hope you're having a good evening. Wasn't it a bit of a windy one last weekend? Looks like being breezy this weekend as well, but not to the extent that we saw last week. But still, if the aircraft are outside, I think you've got to take care with them, particularly through Friday and Saturday. Sunday at the moment is looking the best over the weekend for most of us. So this is the satellite picture then from earlier on today. I'm showing it because I'm a weather anorak, and it shows showers in the North Sea, just troubling eastern coast. But you notice how we transition from this lumpy cloud, this convective cloud, because of the unstable air out towards the east, into this more stable air associated with fronts out towards the west. And that's the flatter cloud. So you can see the difference there between that unstable stuff towards the east and that flatter, more stable cloud associated with the fronts in the west. Beautiful sunshine across many parts of the country. So as we go into Friday then, this is how things are going to be shaping up. Low pressure passing eastwards during the course of tonight, bringing some strong winds, isobars close together. I think basically we're into non-flying conditions across many parts of the country because of that wind. I suppose at a touch parts of southeast Scotland may be okay. Maybe that parts of northern England are okay as well, but again we're kind of clutching at straws a little bit here. There'll be showers passing their way southwards during the day, some sunny spells in between, gusts of about 30 to 35 knots. I suppose if it's straight down the runway then some of you might be feeling brave. Rain clearing away from the far south of England early on Friday morning, but some more persistent rain, some snow getting into northern and northwestern Scotland later, where there will be some gales. Now, as I say, take care if the aircraft are outside, because it becomes very windy again overnight into Saturday, particularly, I think, Scotland, Northern England, the Midlands, Eastern and Southern England. Gusts of 40, perhaps even 45 knots. And through Saturday, you can see here, look, that the isobars again close together, bringing some pretty severe gales down those eastern coasts of the country. Further west, still breezy, isobars close together. I think we're going to be finding some rain and some sleet possibly affecting eastern coast of England. Bases here about 1,000 to 3,000 feet, tops at about 10,000 feet. And I think we're going to be finding more western areas, seeing some showers down the southwestern coasts of Wales, western coasts of England, and also for Northern Ireland. But actually, out west, it's bright, it's a decent day. It's just that it's still fairly breezy. And then into Sunday, a better day for most. But you can see here, look, how we've got a front that sort of troubles eastern areas, bringing bits and pieces of rain here. However, through more central parts of the country, it does look as if conditions are probably going to improve. Maybe some low cloud at first, but that will lift. Eastern areas, again, being rather breezy. Western areas always faring best of all. So I think the pick of the pops for Sunday is going to be out west, bases of about 2,000 to 3,000 feet, and the tops out there at about 8,000 to 10,000 feet. For the east, I think we're going to be looking at bases nearer 1,000 to 2,000 feet, and the tops about 12,000 to 15,000 feet with some outbreaks of rain. But what I will say, there is much uncertainty for the weekend. Lots to come in the second session of Aviation Weather School Part 2 this weekend. If you're joining us, get ready. It's going to be as great as last week's session was. Really enjoyable. Lots of interaction taking place. We're going to be doing all about forecasting winds, and we're going to do more on front forecasting and more on spotting weather windows this weekend. If you've not been to Aviation Weather School yet, this is your chance. I've just announced the latest dates. The next course, this is the first one with places available, and the first one in 2022 will take place over the consecutive Saturday mornings of the 5th and the 12th of February from 09:30 to 12:30 hours, presented live by yours truly. And if you really do want to understand weather and get confidence in flying weather, then you need to get to Aviation Weather School. Okay, I will leave you with that for now. Book your place at weatherschool.co.uk, by the way. I'll leave you with that for now. Have a great evening, all of you, and a wonderful weekend. Back to you guys. See you next week. Bye for now.
Thank you very much, Simon.
Yeah, Simon Shirt coming in for a lot of flack. And as Mark Lithen said, I'm seeing the number 42 in this shirt. It's a colour blindness test, isn't it?
Yeah, well, actually, that's probably a line-in shirt. It's going to be Ishihara.
Yeah.
Should we start a clothing?
Whereas Ben Flies UK says Magic Eye, isn't it? I'm seeing a dog in a top hat.
I don't know what
Fraser Medicine. I'm seeing a secret message. Yeah, it's don't fly on Saturday or on Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, good one. Right, time for some news. In that case, let's kick off the news with Dave.
Right. Well, it's just a reminder that the January 2022 edition of Flyer is now available free. The contents includes the cover story on the Silence Twister, a lovely piece by Richard Very on building his SSDR biplane, a World War I Newport lookalike. The flying adventure is to Shetland, taken in other islands and highlands of Scotland. There's a review of 2 Aerotion headsets and, of course, much, much more, including General Aviation's best columnists. Just a quick reminder also that the December issue, the one before, the 6 free landing fees that were in that December issue are now valid for the month of December.
Can anyone remember what they are?
Yeah, where can you go, Dave?
At the end.
Aha.
We'll tell you at the end, because that'll give Johnny time to look them up.
There we go.
Okay, I think it's over to you, Ed.
Okay. Jeff Bridges says, "Where are your flags, Ian?"
I was doing some other filming earlier on today for another video that will hopefully be out in the next week or two, and the flags weren't appropriate, so I had to take them down, and I haven't had a chance to put them back up yet. So I will put them back up, but
it's become a republic. The Republic of Sega. Yes.
Yeah. That's not
well,
bad,
yes. Yes. So Vans news. The 11,000th Vans RV has flown. So it's nearly 50 years since Vans Aircraft was founded, and they just announced that their 11,000th aircraft to be completed from one of their kits has been flown by Leonard Nichols and Jay Conlon from Alberta in Canada. It's an RV7A, and Vans tend to clock new completions up. It's crazy figures, something like 1 every 19, 20 hours flies somewhere around the world. And anyway, we had a 10,000 announcement about 3 years ago, and now we've had the 11,000th. So I think Vans are having a record time at the moment. I think they've never seen sales so big, partly because home building has been popular in lockdown. So well done, Vans.
Yeah.
Well done, Vans. It's just the cynic in me now, for which I apologise in advance if I'm going to upset anybody. The cynic in me this is proof that Vans do not manage that situation for PR, because I'm not sure if Vans did, would they have chosen an RV7A to be the 11,000th? Do you think?
No, I think you're exactly right. I think they just, this is classic Vans. They are exactly what you see, and they don't manage it. And the people notify them of first flights, and then they don't wait for for a flashiest one or a new model or something, or go, look, this is a miracle with an RV14. They just go, yeah, no, 11,000. Some guy's building an RV7A. Congrats, move on. 12,000 next.
Yeah, 12,000 next. I think you're absolutely right. Well, a few years ago, I found myself at Sporties in Cincinnati, and they have a fly-in every Saturday, and they serve basically free hot dogs to everybody. And because I'd flown in, they were making a bit of a thing about it. I got to eat the 500,000th hot dog, and I'm not entirely sure how accurate that 500,000th number was, or whether it was just chance that I was there at the time to eat it. But
it's Sporties. I would have thought it was very accurate record keeping.
I would have thought so. Actually, now you mention it, it probably was.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much. It was a jolly nice hot dog. That's all I can say, or a brat, I think they call it out there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what's the next story then? It must be Johnny.
Yes. So Britain Norman are growing their facilities down at Solent Airport. So they've extended their lease for a third hangar, which is provided by the council. It's a 34,000 square foot hangar that they're building at the airport, taking over. And they moved there back in 2010, I think it was, and they've invested tons of money in the facility, and they've created loads of jobs there. So they're kind of retaining that existing historical base that they've had there for a long time. But more widely, they are a Garmin approved dealer, so they're not just about manufacturing and looking after their aircraft. They can provide services to the wider GA community, which is good. So an airport I've not ever visited. So.
Really? Definitely worth it. In fact, I think maybe next year we should organise a bit of one of those pop-up fly-ins to Leon Solent, and talking about an anorak thing here, my anorak that is. We ought to a pop-up fly-in to Leon Solent with a visit to the helicopter museum, which is walking distance. Sorry, not helicopter.
The Hovercraft Museum.
Hovercraft Museum, which is just a short walk away. I think that'd be quite a funky day.
That's it. As Darren Lewington says, excellent work by the council, really forward-thinking and pro-GA.
Absolutely. Right, next story is me, and this is just a brief one. You may have noticed Border Force sent out some information to most, but not all airfields and airstrips recently concerning some changes in the notification procedures that are happening in January, from January the 1st. There appears to be a new notification that you have to put in for going outbound now of 2 hours before you take off, and 2 hours before you take off coming inbound. But there are a whole bunch of kind of contradictions and kind of slightly strange things in there. So Dave White has jumped on the case, and he's been emailing all sorts of people. And I think after he went through about 4 or 5 people who all said, no, it's not me, Gov, it's not me, Gov, it's not me, Gov, he finally found someone who's kind of taken charge. So he's going to do some digging and find out the actual facts for it. And hopefully he'll pop along here next week and let us know what it is. So keep your eyes open. And that changes from 1st of January. Dave?
Well, are we going to run that story about the north getting windy, or are we skipping over it?
Good point. I think I pushed in there, didn't I? Ed, I'm awfully sorry. I appear to have pushed in.
That's all right.
I was getting bored.
Let me get us back on schedule with something about the weather. And well, as Simon mentioned last week, the explosive cyclogenesis was not good news, and the UK was battered by high winds on Friday and Saturday. And while most of us escaped with no damage at all, the aftermath of Storm Alwyn saw some airfields in the north of the UK being particularly badly affected, with Eschot and Athies Moor reporting damage to clubhouses and hangars, and unfortunately a number of aircraft damaged or destroyed. Damage wasn't going to stop eShot though, and they've been working hard to serve a number of helicopters involved in the power line surveys and repairs. So well done, guys! Fantastic stuff. I was speaking to Paul Cadell, and obviously he's based up at Airshot. He said the cleanup is still ongoing, and he said there's 13,000 people still without power in Northumberland and Cumbria, going into a 7th night. You can imagine that if that was Surrey, there would be a huge hoo-ha. But apparently the north doesn't matter, so just leave them to work out their own power supply stuff.
There wouldn't be a huge hoo-ha in Surrey. It would be fixed.
It would be fixed. That's it. It wouldn't have even happened, would it? There would have been barely blips. So come on, whoever's responsible for that. There's some people working really hard, but help them out.
I mean, not good. Okay, next. Here's a story about Border Force. Oh no, we've done that. Just to keep us on track. Dave, you're up next.
This is the story. The next one is about the CAA publishing a new safety sense leaflet on VFR moving maps. And what? Well, guess what? Well done, CAA. It's actually a really well thought out document. It covers all the bases on using a moving map, talks up the advantages, such as stopping you or helping you to stop infringing, with an emphasis on becoming proficient in the use of the device and the app. It's very thorough, nicely designed and well edited, so without using any official difficult language, sort of things I can't pronounce. But, of course, being the CAA, they also recommend carrying as a backup a paper chart, all marked up and folded for the planned route. You do that, of course, Ed. Not Ed. You do that, of course. You don't, Ian.
No, I don't do
it. For a paper chart.
So this leaflet, it's called SS29, Safety Sense Leaflet 29. It also has a common issues section, which runs through a series of possible scenarios. And it finishes off with a section on electronic conspicuity. I've been practicing that. Electronic conspicuity devices and how they might be linked to the moving map. It's really well worth a read, and it's free. And I think we've got a link to it somewhere, haven't we?
There's a link on the top of the document that someone needs to copy and put in the comments.
That means Ian's not on it. There we go. Let me do that.
Yeah. Well, I could do that, but particularly as it's your story next day. But before we
go, I'll multitask.
I'm clearly incapable of multitasking. On the CA thing, Johnny, great job, people. Clearly, not entirely sure I want to carry a map around, but good. Who wrote it?
Lewington says, very good leaflet. Who wrote it? Get them to do everything. That's very true, actually.
I think I know who wrote it, but I'm not going to say because I'm not 100% sure.
I think I know who you might be thinking of.
Yeah, I think there's some style in it that's very similar to another book that was written by the CA.
Yes.
Recently. Oh, where has it gone? There we go. There you go. See this?
Yes. Skyway Code. It's very much like the Skyway Code. That's another excellent publication.
Yeah, get yourselves one of these or download the PDF. And I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's the same person behind that.
Yeah.
And the
anyway,
safety sense
it's a good one. Does anyone remember the really, really old safety sense leaflets? Where you used to walk into your flying club and there was like a thing on the wall and they were all in there and they looked like little newsletters from the kind of local council.
Yes.
Johnny doesn't.
No.
Johnny's like, I have no recollection of this whatsoever. This was way before my time.
What are you talking about? Yeah. Anyway, well done, CEA.
Good.
Ed.
Yes, crazy eVTOL news because we always need some of that. Remember the Renault 4? Well, probably not if you're younger than 80 years old, but it was a huge success for the the French manufacturer, and they sold 8 million of them. And they've decided to celebrate its 60th anniversary by going, hey, look, we've created the Air 4, a flying version of the Renault 4. Well, you haven't really, Renault, have you? You put a little shell on top of a quadcopter. But anyway, the Air 4 is anything but simple. It bears a superficial resemblance to the R4, but it's made entirely of carbon fiber. And instead of wheels, it has 4 two-blade propellers, one at each corner. It can reach a top speed of 58 miles an hour, which is probably slower than the original. So let's make something entirely useless. I don't think they're going to sell it. However, Johnny and I have a theory. in that, sometimes car manufacturers hark back to their retro days. I think this is a way of so that people can go, oh wow, well it's completely bonkers, but the car's a little bit kind of retro cool, and we think they're going to go, hey look, this is our new retro car.
You wouldn't put all that design time to creating that retro looking body and not do anything with it.
No, clearly some engineers after hours said, hey, we could put this on a quadcopter, and someone who signed stuff off at Renault got caught out, and they put it under some official looking documents, and he went, yeah, no, I approve that, and they're all running off going, hey, we can make a quadcopter.
I think what actually happened was someone went down to the toy shop and bought a Renault 4 dinky toy. They got a sheet of carbon fiber and draped it over the top. Once it cured, they cut it out. They just sat it on top of a Christmas cracker quadcopter, and that was it.
There we go. John Milner says our Renault 4 was rusting tin and would do about 60.
There you go. It's faster. Let's go faster. So
that's environmentally sound as well. If it's turning back into the environment.
Yeah. Johnny.
Yes. Go on. Someone asked me the question.
What question?
Where's Zara?
Where's Zara? Of course.
Russia.
Hey.
Are you 80? Where's Zara?
Yeah, she's in Vladivostok at the moment, which is the final Russian stop on the journey. So she's going to leave Russia soon. She should be flying, I think it's tomorrow, to South Korea, basically to Seoul. And as she put on her, I think it was on her Instagram yesterday, she mentioned that she needs to try and stay away from North Korea. And I'd say yes.
Definitely, yeah. Really work on that.
I think tomorrow in her schedule, she's got tomorrow down as a maintenance day. Then she's got a rest day on Saturday, and I think she's flying to Seoul on Sunday, as I understand it. But who knows? Do you think this is one of those? What do they call it when you park in a car park and you shouldn't? And they lock you.
Well, there's wheel clamps. It's the aviation equivalent of a wheel clamp, a big tarpaulin wrapped around your airplane. I'm more concerned about the huge size of the chocks that they've given her. That's half the size of the undercarriage leg behind the back wheel.
Yeah. I thought that was a wheel clamp. See.
Okay. Yeah. No. I think they're just not used to very small, dainty microlights, and they've gone. I'm not even going to do the Russian accent. It's like you need these Antonov chocks.
Yeah, Antonov 2 is the smallest airplane we've got. Right. Okay, Dave.
So I've got the sad job of announcing that Phil Dunnington, aviator and adventurer, he died in Jordan on Tuesday. Phil was 74, but he caught COVID, which complicated the fact that he already had a rare form of leukemia, and the two kind of got to him, I'm afraid. Phil was one of the founders of the Bristol Balloon Festival, a former GA advocate back in 2019, but also famous for his Beach 18 trips with the balloon in the back of the aircraft. He would land and take off in the balloon with his wife, Ali. I never met Phil. Did any of you ever meet Phil? He sounds a jolly nice chap, and would have been a very nice person to get to know.
Yeah. I had met Phil, and weirdly, I was out walking the dog during the summer, and Ali landed a balloon next to me in a field, and I was on the phone. She was like, "Phil, you won't believe this. I've landed next to Ed." But that's he'll be sadly missed. That's very sad news.
Yeah. Absolutely. Which brings us on to the. I don't know. Are we going to skip? No, let's not skip that. Johnny, you've got a story in here.
Yeah. So the CAA are recruiting. They've got a few jobs out at the moment, but one of them is for a communications specialist, based obviously at Gatwick, and doing all sorts of things like media monitoring and social media. And there's an on-call allowance. So when Ian rings you at 2:00 in the morning to ask you a question, you basically get paid $4,500 for Ian to be able to ring you up.
Wow.
So I think there are some good parts of the job, I imagine, apart from having to talk to people like us. But yeah, if you're interested in a job at the CAA, get on. I found that on the CAA recruitment site. It's 40 grand or something, whatever it is. Go for it. Go for it. Which brings us on to the last story in the news, which is the current CAA consultation on cost-shared flights. So I had to print it out. You can get it online, but I had to print it out because there's too much stuff there for me to read. And I was kind of looking through it. Apparently, the CAA have been having a bit of a problem with people, passengers and pilots, who've been colluding in order to illegally cost-share flights and to do what many people refer to as grey charters, but basically illegal charters. And to a certain, a whole bunch of people, including, I imagine, a bunch of people watching this, will the CAA be pushing on a bit of an open door? Because there's quite a lot of misunderstanding, I would say, and bad feeling towards people like Wingley for reasons which I personally don't fully understand. But the CAA have done this, and they got together a working group to have a look at it and see what they could do to improve things. You always get a little bit worried when the CAA sit down and want to improve something, don't you? Well, I do anyway. So one of the things that they said they would do, however, was act proportionately, which is a good thing. And then they carried on in the consultation to act completely disproportionately and couldn't actually offer up one shred of evidence for where the problem is. And if you're out there going, Sala, it's all about Sala. It may well be all about Sala, but Sala wasn't a cost-sharing flight. Sala was an illegal charter. Nothing to do with cost sharing whatsoever. So the internal working group got together and looked at the various things. And to be fair to them, there's some good stuff that came out of it. There's cost sharing at the moment. You're only allowed to share direct costs. And there is some confusion about what direct costs include. And the CAA do intend to sit down and to define more accurately what direct costs are. However, they also decided that it would be useful if they came up with something called common purpose. So if your flight wasn't from landing back at the place it took off from, so an A to A flight, but it was an A to B flight, and you wanted a cost share, you could only cost share if the pilot would have been going there already. So had I, for example, been deciding that next week, not that I would next week because it's going to be cold and wet, go to Salcombe or something, or Bolthead, and I said to someone, hey, do you fancy coming along? That would be fine. If, however, if you take this at its word, someone said, hey, Ian, my aircraft is on maintenance at Dunkerswell or something. Would you give me a lift down? Then you'd have to go, no, I'm not going to give you a lift down. Or I could do it if it was free, but I can't do any cost sharing because basically I've got no common purpose to go to Dunkerswell, which is a really crappy idea. Then it has to be equal shares. So in the same kind of thing, I would have, I'll give you a lift down to Dunkerswell. It'll cost me 80 quid's worth of fuel, and it'll only cost you 40 quid because we'll share that. So because at the moment you don't have to be equal sharing, which is a little thing. So that's just a kind of mad thing. And then one of the other suggestions they've come up with, and this bit surely takes the biscuit. Where is this? There are three, count them, three frickin' things that you have to fill out. First of all, there's the cost-sharing flight. This is what they're suggesting. The cost-sharing flight, essential passenger and information and declaration. So flight details to be completed by the pilot in command. So every time you do a cost share, you have date, aircraft type and registration, pilot in command name, pilot in command license number. I don't want the license number, for God's sake. Takeoff location, estimated time, en route landings, locations, if any, and final landing location and estimated time. Then you have to supply all of this. They're suggesting you supply all of this copy to the passengers, the people you're cost sharing with, which basically says this is not a commercial flight, etc., etc., etc. And then after they've done that, you ask the passengers to fill out a passenger declaration. They have to go through saying, yes, I understand the flight's carried out under cost sharing. Yes, we understand that it may not be maintained to the same airworthiness standards as commercial, blah, 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 blah. Passenger, signature, name, date, and that up to a maximum of the 5 passengers. And then, as if that's not enough, the pilot in command has to complete another declaration, which is ticking to say, I confirm this is done, I confirm the aircraft, blah, 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 blah. Sign that. Plus, you have to keep all of those for 6 months, should the CAA decide, or not even the CAA, should an appropriate person ask you for the proof of it. I mean, how is that appropriate? How is that any good? And where's the bloody evidence for it? Yeah, you can make up all sorts of story about why it's really dangerous and cost sharing shouldn't be allowed, but it's illegal charters that shouldn't be allowed. Illegal charters are bonkers. This is just a whole bunch of poo that they've invented to try and make it easier for them because they don't actually enforce the rules that are there at the moment. Get off your asses and go and enforce them properly. Don't come up with a whole load of crap which is going to spoil the life of a whole load of people who aren't trying to break the law, just to try and make it easier for you to go and catch some other people. Get off your ass and do it in the first place, would be my suggestion. But I probably won't say that in the feedback for the consultation, which is open until July. So I would encourage you to talk to the CA and give them your feedback politely, like I will be doing.
That's an amazingly long time for that consultation to be open,
January.
isn't it?
Open to January.
Not July.
No,
Did I say July?
Yeah.
I didn't mean July. I was just dreaming of the sunshine.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, that's fine then. Okay, right.
January, not July, January. But anyway, I think it's, there is a problem. The problem is that there are people running illegal charters. Those people have been running illegal charters since forever. And the CA needs to get out there and enforce them properly, not kind of make people genuinely trying to do stuff, fill in 3 different forms and not trying to stop people do stuff because there's no common purpose.
As Kevin Siggery says, while we're sitting on the ground filling in forms and ticking boxes, we're not up there causing problems. Obvious.
You're far too young to be that cynical, surely. Anyway, that's all I've got to say. I think it's probably time we move on. And I think, thank you very much, Rich.
Mr. Salmon, aka Johnny's dad, best rant ever, Ian. Absolute corker. Yeah.
Thank you. Right, I think it's time to move on. I think we're going to go and see Richard Hodge shortly, so let's see if we can make this screen change thing work properly. Not quite.
So close.
Yeah.
Nearly.
There's no way.
There we go.
All right.
We've made it work.
This moment.
As slick as ever. Right.
Thank you, Johnny.
I can hear you.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, Richard. Now, to put you in context for people that are watching, you've got a really popular Instagram account called @Aircraft Adventures, which is on your name tag, and you post weird and wonderful airplanes from all around the world, mainly general aviation.
Right.
I've got some screenshots that I'll share while you're talking, but can you just tell us how what brought this on and how did you get into aviation yourself?
I guess it's multifaceted, but my father was in aviation his whole life, so I guess it's kind of runs in the blood, he's he was, as long as I knew him, he was always in aviation sales with different companies, so we moved around because of that, and so I was always exposed to aviation. Let's see, another point. I lived in at 2 of his jobs. We lived in Washington, D.C., and we lived right in the corner of runway 15 of DCA Airport. At the time, it was called National Airport, and I lived on the 18th floor, overlooking the runway. This is back in the mid '80s, and so you can imagine what kind of impact that would have on a young kid, who already liked planes. And then, I guess at some point I got a VHF, a handheld VHF radio where I could listen to the radio communications. So I was there all day on the balcony doing that and not doing my homework. So, but this was back in the day where, in the 80s, this is a vintage where you'd have Fokker 27s, Nord 262s, you name it, Convairs, all kinds of, loud and fun planes. 727s, of course, DC-9, 737s. But I think the big watershed moment would be when I got as a gift a Jane's All the World's Aircraft Guide. That was, there it is. It wasn't 1974-75, although that would have been suitable, but I had a 1984-85 edition. And that thing is, I wish we could flip it sideways so you can see how big it is. That thing is huge. I mean, I'm sure you guys have had your hands on this book before, right? Because it has pretty much what I find amazing about it is it, even though the year is 84, 85 or whatever year it might be published, it has everything up to that point. That's what people don't realize. I mean, there's some extremely obscure aircraft that there might be one plane built in a barn in 1964, and for whatever reason, if that plane is still on the registry, whether it's FAA or CAA registry, that plane will still show up as listed in the directory. So I think that would be kind of like the big starting point for me, because I'll tell you what, I memorized that book from start to finish. Don't ask me any stats, on anything, because I probably forgot all that. But that's, I think that would be, those would be the founding, how would you call it? The foundation of why I'm into that. So.
Yeah, and from the book, I mean, obviously being in the US, did you then get into magazines?
Yeah. So I segued from that into So that was like my, what do you call my what's the word? Entry drug? What's the word?
Gateway drug.
That was gateway drug, and then I segued into flying magazine. And no, not flying. Kit planes. It was early '90s when I subscribed to Kit planes. And interesting, oddly enough, I was actually living in the countryside of Brazil at that time, and the reason is because my mother's Brazilian, my father's American, and once he retired, he decided, I'm going to leave this whole cesspool of aviation. I can't stand it anymore. So he decided to move to the countryside of Brazil, where my mother's from, and that's where I grew up for 9 years, completely isolated from any sort of aviation. Well, not 100%, but that's where I could take refuge in my Jane's book. And once a month we would receive, the best time of the month is when that flying magazine would come. I mean, not flying magazine, the Kit Planes magazine would arrive on our doorstep, and so that was, all the excitement around that, So yeah, and then as far as flying itself, while living in Brazil, I took glider lessons. I didn't quite get my license down there, but I flew gliders. I think I got logged about 18 flights. And then I moved back to the United States. I've been here since in Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, since 1996. And I didn't exactly, I did sort of, I did work in aviation. I didn't really pursue a career as a pilot or anything like that, but I did work for Embraer Aircraft for 9 years.
Brilliant. Now, yeah. Moving on to the Instagram account that you now run.
Yeah.
Are you finding out about these aircraft yourself, or are people kind of making suggestions to you? Because it's a comment here. Lovely. Every person. Yeah. So it marries quite well with our fancy hangar section. But are you doing the research yourself and finding all these new airplanes?
It's a combination of everything. It kind of, the starting point was Jane's. Actually, here's what I literally did. When I started off, I went to, if you can stay right there on that screen. So if you look at that top left screen right there, that was actually a viewer suggestion. That's a turboprop 195. It's a Cessna 195 mated with a Garrett or Air Research, whatever they're called nowadays, in a TP 331, and that's like a one-off plane down in Brazil. That one, actually, the owner of the aircraft actually collabed with me in providing all the information, all the pictures and the stories behind the plane to make it kind of give it sort of life to the story about how the plane came about and what they use it for. So some of it is user contributed, follower contributed. A lot of it is just my research. We have a public library here in town, which actually has the full gamut of all the Jane's All World's Aircraft Guides. So it has everything from 1961 to 1990 something or 2000 something. And so actually, I literally, except I can't check out the book, you can read it in the library. And so what I literally did was a couple years ago, I took whatever I wanted from those Janes. I spent about 3 hours flipping through them, and I scanned all the pages of what aircraft that I was interested in. That's kind of like started my foundation of what I wanted. And then then I went to Google trying to find newer pictures of the aircraft, more information, more backstory. So, and that's basically it. I have a couple sources of places where go to websites that are accessible to anyone, but I just kind of like I'll start off with one plane. I'll do a Google search on it. Google give me some suggestions. Oh, let's check out this other plane. You just kind of like skip around and find different stuff,
Yeah, and we've got one comment from Andrew Kennedy saying, "Hey, it's that guy." He likes to guess the plane posts.
And that's the thing. So I think that's one of the things that kind of like grew the account to where it's at, is because before I was just just randomly posting stories and background information, but then I I started this thing where I was called Guess the Plane. I think it was called Mystery Plane Mondays. You know, just kind of like this rhyme thing, Mystery Plane Mondays. And soon people want to do that on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You know, so I decided, you know, okay, I'll do this every day now, and this will be kind of like the thing. So it's a fun little feature. You know, it gets people kind of excited because, you know, they'll see it's amazing. You'll see I'll display a component of a plane. It could be just the wheel of a plane, just like a close-up picture of the wheel of a plane. And I'll say, okay, what plane is this? And I'll just throw it out there and see if somebody guesses it. And I would think, okay, today certainly nobody will be able to guess this one. But sure enough, and lo and behold, in 2 minutes somebody can figure it out, because sometimes they'll look and go, I actually saw this plane last week at such and such airport, so I recognize that wheel from anywhere. So it's kind of scary, you know, but.
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, that's what we're going to do in a minute.
Okay, I'm scared.
But what I mean, do you think it's important, or why do you think it's important to like remember these unique and amazing designs?
I don't know. I think it's kind of that's a tough question. Why is it that I like that exactly particular niche or facet? I don't know. It's kind of like asking someone why do you like the color red, or why do you have a certain fantasy that you, I don't know. I have a hard time explaining it, really. It's I like a combination of older aircraft. I mean, there's that, you know, there's the old aircraft, and then there's, I think those, okay, I think I put a finger on it, you know, in Jane's, like you'll flip open a Jane's book, right? And you'll see one aircraft that kind of fascinates you. It's like a sketchy black and white picture that was taken, a Xerox of a Xerox of a Xerox, and it'll show up in Jane's. And it was a plane that was built in somebody's garage. And this plane's fascinating because it's, I don't know, it's very, the design's interesting. It has a weird engine, maybe it's a motorcycle engine or something like that. And that's it. And you'll never see this plane again. So I think kind of like, you know, digging up and trying to find all these weird planes, which to me were kind of mysterious. That's kind of the allure for me, you know? And then I start researching and finding out, wow, there's this whole other, you know, with the internet, of course, there's this whole other gamut of planes that you can discover, you know? So one thing leads to another.
I think that I think for me it's the fact that there's a whole world of aeroplanes that are very samey, and I think you, like me, kind of enjoy the aeroplanes are so kind of left field.
Right, exactly. Because when you go to an airport, you'll see, you know, 20 or 30 Cessna 172s, and all the respect to Cessna 172s, all the respect to Pipers and whatever else, you know. But I mean, it's when you see something else, you know, that's completely, wow, what's that over there, you know, and something that sounds completely different, you know. I mean, that's what, you know, and I respect, you know, the fact that it's kind of a narrow niche. It's, you know, I think most people are, you know, the most successful aviation accounts are about airliners, you know, airline spotting, and that's fine, you know. So we've got our own little corner here, you know, our own fanatic people who enjoy the same thing, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll kick off with a bit of a quiz. I mean, okay. Ed, Dave, Ian, if you can keep an eye on the comments, just in case anybody is really quick and can get in there. But between the four of you, I'll flash up some pictures.
All right.
Take a few seconds to have a guess, and then I'll show the answer after.
A few seconds to do a Google search right now.
Yeah, you've got to have your hands up. No Googling allowed.
Okay.
But if we know what it is, should we shout out Johnny or anything, or
give it a few seconds and see. Let some people get some answers in.
Okay.
Right. Are you ready for number one?
Are you also playing with the audience here? Or the comments?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Right. I'm going to flash up the first one. Are you ready?
All right.
Yeah.
So,
here we
I know
go.
He's already. I knew where you got that from too.
Ian, Ed, Dave.
Not a clue.
Dave, is it a Luscombe?
No, not a Luscombe.
Is it the Thalman T4?
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh my!
Good answer.
What is happening there?
It's like, how aerodynamic can I make this? I'll put the canopy over the cowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few interesting pictures of the fuselage, and it's like a geodetic construction.
Exactly.
And you can kind of see the ribs on the not the ribs, but yeah, along the fuselage. You can see the shape of it.
I
But
think
it's
it was Continental IO 470 powered or something, wasn't it? It was four seats.
So 0470 or something like that. I don't remember exactly. But yeah, the story is that the Talman or whatever his name was who developed the plane, that he tried to market it, but this was at the time. It was right after World War II, and it was kind of like that post-war mania where all these manufacturers tried to buy into the idea where all the returning pilots would buy their planes, and turns out pilots wanted a Bonanza, they wanted a Navion, and that was it. That's pretty much what the market wanted. So this thing fizzled out, but it remained his own personal ride up till the 70s, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Yeah.
So presumably, is that ladder removable, or do you go to all the hassle of making it aerodynamic and then have to strap a ladder on the side?
I don't know.
That's a good question.
I'd like to. I think the ladder was removable.
Maybe it folds flush against the fuselage.
The bottom rung looks like it's covered in oil. Come out of the engine.
That's true, actually. Yeah. True. Yeah.
Well done, Ed.
Yeah.
What's your next one, Johnny?
Right, here we go. Ready?
Easy.
Easy.
So Richard, these aren't all off your Instagram, so
no, but it's biased because that's a Brit design. So
I don't know what were there two of these that turned up at Lavington a few years ago.
The classic story. They are rare aeroplanes, so usually one will turn up and someone go, "Oh, this is exceedingly rare." And then, but I think famously at Lavington, it's like you turn around, you go, "Oh, well, like that one over there."
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So
like we were talking about in private before about the Piaggio Royal Gull.
Yeah.
And there's only three, to my knowledge, there's only three that are airworthy in the world, or I think they're all in the U.S. And it turns out the two of them were at Oshkosh. Everything's at Oshkosh. So, anyways.
Oh yeah. But the Chrysley Super Ace had this weird thing. So it had a what a beauty that is. It was designed. No, I said with some irony. The inside the cockpit, you had a steering wheel, which did aileron, and elevator. Basically, was to pitch up. You lifted the wheel up, and to pitch down, you pushed the wheel down. So it's not intuitive to fly.
Really?
That is not dissimilar, except it's the other way around to the forgotten the name of it. What's the Cessna Skycatcher?
Oh.
That had a
it's got a weird stick, hasn't it? Yeah.
A slidey aileron and
right. It's almost like an equivalent of a nose wheel Oster.
Yeah,
if there was to be one.
So I would put money on the fact that no Italian would ever design an airplane like that.
No.
Now you'd be surprised if you do some digging. There's some pretty wonky Italians.
Italians and making ugly airplane, shocker.
I'm just saying, if you dig hard enough. So
right.
What's next, Johnny?
Number 3 is coming up, and Richard, you might recognise this one.
Yep.
Ed.
Actually, I do know this, which probably confirms Sam Sims' thing saying Ed's middle name is Norman. Well, that's very true.
Ian or Dave?
I know it had a 36 horsepower engine.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. The answer is
the Roa MR1.
Look at that.
What a beauty.
What an ugly thing. Was it nicknamed the Guppy or something?
I think so. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a really good picture. I'm not sure if you happen to be on the post of my account right now, but there's a really very entertaining picture where the airplane is half assembled, and the owner of the company, he's sitting on it like a rowboat. Hysterical picture, but anyways. Another post.
Beautiful machine.
I'm always fascinated by things with V. That's one of the reasons I know that.
Yeah.
Right. Next one up. This is a quick one. Ed will know this, but this is for everybody else out there.
Oh, recent.
Yeah.
Very canted winglet.
Let's how are the comments doing? Anything in the comments?
Nothing in the comments so far.
The background helps keep this one away.
Aircraft are products or the products of Fortune lines. Yep.
Right. Here's the big reveal. Ed, what's the name?
It's the Otto Solera.
Which is touted to have I think hourly operating costs of about $350 an hour.
Yeah, well done, Andy McKee.
I just read their next milestone is to try to achieve an operating ceiling of 65,000 feet. I don't know how they're going to get up there. With that thing, I don't know. That little prop. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if this is scale, if they can scale this up or not. It's one of those where you make a demonstrator and you go, will it work when it's significantly bigger?
Yeah. Do we know whose money is behind that yet?
It's one guy, isn't it? Is it Mr. Otto, I think?
I was going to say, is his name Otto or Solera?
No, I think he's Mr. Otto. Yeah, but he claims to have claims to have this whole new drag reducing technology idea. So and I think if it works, it'll be stunning. But it's powered by the big red diesel engine, isn't it? So
it is, yeah.
They fill it with helium to get to that flight level.
Oh, right. Quick one. We seem to have lost Dave, but here's a final quick one for you to have a guess at.
I know this.
Do you really, Ed?
I really know this. Yeah.
I do like this one a lot.
That's brilliant. Ian, Dave.
It's a no.
It's the Anderson Greenwood AG14.
Oh yes, I was so close.
So what's the coolest thing about the Anderson Greenwood AG14 is that it was designed by Anderson and Greenwood, but there was a third person in the design team called Slaughter. And they went, no, we can't possibly have the Anderson Greenwood Slaughter aeroplane. That would be a terrible name.
Wow. One other facet that's interesting about this plane, you'll notice that the rudder, even though it's a twin boom design, the rudder is only on the left boom. Look closely.
Wow.
Didn't know that. That's interesting.
No idea why. You would think that would produce asymmetrical, you would think it'd be more efficient put on both, but it's just one side.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a very toy looking airplane. Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
Ed, I muted you there, Ed, because of the echo.
Oh, right, okay. Is it me echoing?
I hear echo.
I can't hear echo. Yeah. No, that aeroplane's there might be one or two of those restored, and they're still kind of active.
I think there's actually two of them, if I'm not mistaken. That green one plus one other blue one.
Outstanding.
Nick Allen says, what were the AG1 to 13 like? I'm not sure.
That is a good question. That is a very good question. Well, Richard, thank you for joining us and telling us all about how you got into doing what you're doing. And if people are out there that want another refresher, it's Aircraft Adventures on Instagram.
Yeah, join in for next week, guys.
Really fascinating account with lots of amazing, weird, and wonderful and wacky looking machines. And you can learn a lot through reading Richard's posts.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Good stuff. Right.
It
must be time for. Very good. So, where was it? Sam Sin says, Ed, have you got a wife?
Yeah, her name is Jane. James.
James, yes. She writes books about aeroplanes. Yeah, I just had a lot of my childhood was spent, just like Richard said, is with aeroplane books, and a lot of the stuff that went in didn't come out until now.
Right then.
So, Fancy Hangar. In the news, we heard that Van's Aircraft are celebrating the completion of their 11,000th aircraft by a customer. So the obvious question for tonight was, if you're going to pick an RV for your Fancy Hangar, what model would it be? So, who's first?
Johnny.
Oh, it's me. Yeah. For me, this was easy. RV8. Even though, I mean, it looks gorgeous. It's the kind of airplane that it's as close to a fighter jet as you can kind of get, really, I think, in the GA world. Looks great, sounds great. I'm imagining, Ed, they probably fly quite great, but I've never flown one, hint, hint.
Yeah, no, they do fly very nicely, Johnny.
But I did pick that one particularly because of the colour scheme. I do think that looks pretty neat. Some people think it's probably too busy, but I quite like it.
Yeah, they work at lots of people have painted them in that manner, but they always do well with military colour schemes. So.
I'm up next. I chose what's going to be the best vans out there, and it's the RV15. Now, you may not have seen one yet, and funnily enough, neither have we. So the RV15 is going to be Van's first high-wing aircraft. It's going to be backcountry capable. It will, like all of Van's aircraft, have total performance. So I'm expecting 180 knots cruise speed with a 35-knot stall speed. I'm expecting it to go in and out of places with big Tundra tyres on. The only problem is we don't know what it's looked like. Now, I don't know if some of you out there might know Randy Schlitter, who is the Randy behind Van's aircraft. He's done a whole bunch of interesting aircraft. This was his guess at what it looks like. I think it was a joke because that's really just a Cessna Caravan, isn't it, with a piston engine in it. So I don't think it's going to look like that at all. There was a little video that Vans put out of them working on the build. So that doesn't give you that much in the way of a clue. Ed, helpfully.
That famously, the sheets of plywood, they refer to something called the Pine Pigeon, which is the cockpit kind of dimension simulator that they're working on. So,
very good. Then you sent me a picture of this aircraft, which at least has got an RV8 cowl.
There's been some guessing. It's like, will it be like this? This is a Pegasair from, I think it's a Canadian design. But as Ian was very quick to say to me, he said, "Oh my God, I hope it doesn't look like that."
No, so we decided, we went behind the scenes at Vans. We didn't really, we just guessed, and we figured that this is what it's going to look like.
We channeled our wisdom and came up with this. So I could definitely get behind this. I think this is this. I think the internet tomorrow could be active with this. The thought that this could be the RV15. So
yeah,
it's that high wing, no struts.
So. In the background, is that the quarry at Westbury?
No, that's definitely not the quarry at Westbury.
Okay.
It may yes, the background may be from a flyer shoot earlier this year. But yes, I put reasonable money on it. Maybe looking like this.
Okay.
Some parts. We'll see. We'll have to guess. This time next year, we'll know. So
I remember that photo shoot. It was one of those photo shoots where we were having to get higher and higher and higher to stay above cloud, and it was getting colder and colder and colder and colder
and colder. Yeah, even though it was June.
Yeah, I think it got down to about -10 or something.
It was quite cold.
Anyway,
yeah, cold. Dave, what did you pick?
Well, I was very straightforward. I chose the Vans RV7 tailwheel version. This is it. This is the exact aircraft I would like because I have actually flown in this one with John Kelsall a number of years ago, and just a lovely airplane. Flies well, it's fast, 180 knots. hereabouts. Rate of climb 1900 feet per minute. Aerobatic +6, -3. That's enough for me. And short takeoff and landing, decent payload. You get 2 normal-sized people, plus 4 tanks, plus 100 pounds of luggage, and a reasonable cost to operate. What more could you want, really?
Well, I don't know.
Good choice.
What more could you? Which just leaves us with Ed.
Yes, me. So I picked. So this is a weird one because for the first time ever, I'm actually in the lucky position to say that currently I own my fancy hangar choice because my pick would be the Little Rv3. Originally created in 1972 after Richard Van Gunteren had refined his sport plane thinking while modifying his 6 Playboy that became the RV1. The RV3 became a big hit on the home building scene, famously in the Pasmany efficiency contest held at Oshkosh, which at the time was one of the first real-world evaluations of home-built aircraft performance. In a timed level run, Van Gunteren flew the RV3 at over 207 miles an hour, and in the slow speed run, he clocked just under 54 miles an hour, which gave an efficiency score of 11.77. Closest competitor scored 10.45, and the average home built at the time scored 6.8. But it's just a magic little sport aeroplane. It's easy to pull out. It's light. You pull it out, go flying. Mine's got an O235 with 115 horse. It weighs 330 kilos, and it's a good turn of speed. Cruise 135 knots, 19 liters an hour. Stalls at 44 knots. Happy on little strips. If you want to go places, you can stick stuff in it. It's got lots of fuel. But I just like to use it to punch holes in the sky. And I know it's single seat, but flying a little aeroplane that wraps around you like that is pretty special feeling. And for me, the RV3 is just like putting on a little pair of wings. So, and the 3 is still quite rare. There's only 303 of them completed in the world. So.
Let's just pop back to Richard, who's there with a Union Jack t-shirt, and see what he would have chosen.
Oh, I'm back. Okay.
Hey, Richard, you're back.
And we're talking about vans.
Yeah,
vans, aeroplanes.
I'm almost. I have a family, so I would say the 12. It was a 10.
The 10. The four-place airplane.
Yeah, actually the most boring one.
And the 10. You might say boring, but it's one of those unique airplanes where you can put. I think you can put full fuel in it, 4 adults, and you're still within limits, and it's an amazing load carrying, and it's a fast old machine.
Yeah, no, when I say boring, what I mean is like in the context of these are the only airplanes built in the world, the vans, the aircraft. These are the only planes you could choose, and then it would be obviously the one that you're not going to be zipping around and doing overhead brakes with or anything like that. So, but. I like the fact that it's got 6 cylinders. The other ones don't. So there's a point for me.
Very good.
Yeah, no, I do.
Yeah, no, 10 is a good choice.
Yeah. Okay.
So just looking through the comments,
I think it's looking a bit like an Ed wins week, isn't it?
Andrew Kennedy says, "I'll take an RV4. RV3 is the prettiest." I would agree with that. The 3 and the 4 with the cheek cowling is classic, and it's just lovely. What else? What have we got? Mel Moxon says, "RV14 side by side is more sociable." True. Yeah. What else have we got?
I know
he says Ed wins. Johnny a close second though. Michael Ward says Ed wins. It is looking like the RV3 is a popular choice, and apparently I don't have the echo problem.
Maybe I just throw out there something. I'm not sure if this really qualifies technically as a Vans aircraft, but I think it does, right? Have you guys heard of the Harmon rocket?
Yes.
Basically, where they take it's based on an RV4. They stretch it out a bit and they stick a 300 horsepower light on anything else. What about that?
That's an amazing machine.
Yeah.
Nick Allen has a good one here. I do wish Mr. Vans had finished his RV11 motor glider. I have it. Yes, I think I have seen that in the workshop. and it's still in progress. But it's been in progress for something like 20 odd years, and it's just the RV11 is just a personal project, and it's one day hopefully it will get finished. But obviously, Vans is he's very into his sailplane flying. So yeah, making a motor glider, very cool, good little project.
Yeah. Did you guys know that there's an RV1?
Yes.
It's a little ultralight.
Yeah. RV1 was modified from a Stitz Playboy, wasn't it? So not quite ultralight.
No. It was an RV. There was an RV. I posted on about a couple months ago. Okay, it was built by RV employees.
You mean the RV5?
Could be the 5. Could be the 5. Yes, a single seater with a 2-stroke engine.
That's it. Yeah. Yes. I don't think it was. Still, don't think it was quite an ultralight, but it was the light. It's probably the lightest and simplest Vans. And it had this clever wing where you could pitch it up and rotate it to store it along the fuselage kind of center line.
Yeah, I seem to remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to have a couple of new sections in the show coming up. We're going to have one called Ask Ed, where someone Ask Ed or Ask Richard who ask arcane questions about stuff. And then I think, given that our fantasy hangars are all getting quite full of fantasy aircraft, I think we ought to build an extension on the side and call it the House of Horrors Ugly Aircraft, because we've seen a lot of them tonight.
Yes. Pete Pangeli says, I would go for a Super 6. Nice choice, Pete. And points out that the RV6 is still the most numerous. That's true. The RV6 is still the world's most popular kit plane. And they absolutely nailed that bit of design. The RV7, though, is slowly catching up. So this is why Ed needs a single seater. How rude.
Right. It is 6 minutes past 20:36. So we have gone 6 minutes over. Have we want a quick rattle through the events that aren't happening, Dave?
Well, there are a few happening actually.
Thank you very much, Richard.
December, Compton's Christmas flying, coupled with an open day. They've cancelled the 4th of December Vintage Saturday for some reason. 15th of December, Astral, the consulting group, are holding a weather decision-making online workshop. And guess who's going to be one of the presenters on the weather decision workshop?
Is it Michael Fish?
No, our Simon. He's on there. 19th of December, Fenland Christmas flying. New Year's Day flyings. We're getting to hear about a few. There's one at Bodmin, one at Popham, and North Reps is having a New Year's Day flying weekend. And they've sent in a very nice freezing cold picture to go with it.
Excellent. Jolly good.
Excellent.
Johnny.
Yeah.
You're going to remind people what the December landing fees were and tell them to sign up.
Also thank all the new club members who joined thanks to Black Friday on the great deal. So thank you for joining up. And I have here, which should work. Look at that.
Oh.
December landing vouchers. Now I did spot a comment about Wolverhampton, so I'll give David a ring tomorrow and just double check that he did agree to give us one. Because he did. But yeah, Blackbush, Leicester, Brayton, Fishburn and Crosland, more of the others. So if you do get good weather and you can get out and fly, go and visit those airfields. And if you're not a member, you can get all of those airfields and land at them for free during December if you just join for £7.50 per quarter.
Fantastic. Jolly good. Jolly good. Excellent. On that basis, I think we need to. That's a big echo, isn't it?
I've muted Ed again.
Let's try again. Thank you very much for joining us on Thursday. Have a great weekend flying. Stay safe. We'll see you next Wednesday if you're a member. If you're not, you should be. We'll see you next Thursday if you're not a member and join for the general live stream. So thank you very much. And forgot, we need to say this more. If you're watching this on YouTube, please give us a like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that stuff. It'd be great. Thank you very much. And we will see you next week. Where's that picture? There it is. Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye.